last reported southbound on Highway 99.
Can you give me more info on that call? Just put in another call. I'm headed over there. Closing fast on the vehicle that matches the description. That report party. All units got a condition 2.
Hey, what's happening everyone? I am Sir James from Gamerfuzion.com and welcome back to my Battlefield HardLine 101 series. And in today's video, we're here to take a look at the best class setup for the operator for both Team SWAT and the criminals. So in this case, we're going to be taking a look at the primary secondary weapons along with the gadgets which are mostly recommended for this type of class. So first off, the operator class. Now the operator class is pretty much the team's medic. So first off, let's go ahead and take a look at the primary weapon. When you first start off the game, you're going to be getting the RO933, which is an alright weapon at its default state. However, as soon as you save up money, you definitely want to upgrade your weapon, and here are my two recommended weapons. The first one we have here is the 5G553, which is good for short and medium range. And while my other recommendation here is the M16A3, which is good for pretty much for both short, mid, and of course long range. And of course, if you take a look at the statics, which is pretty much towards the middle of the screen, you will see that comparing this one between just a slight upgrade, you will see that this has a much more improved accuracy, control, and damage. But comparing it with something like this one, the only downside of this one is that this one doesn't have much control, but it definitely benefits with the range. So if you're able to get control of this weapon by using some of the attachments, then you're pretty much good to go. Now the second thing is attachments for your weapons. Now for attachments, it's really all about your personal preference. I can't really recommend specific ones, but the ones I could easily recommend, which is a no-brainer, is having some type of grip. And the grips you could choose from is to have something with a slight increase for your accuracy or control depending on the weapon you're using. So for example, if you're using the secondary recommendation in terms of the weapon, and by adding the angled grip, this will pretty much max out the control for the weapon, so you're pretty much good to go. And like I said, for the muzzles, it's really personal preference. For me, I like to use a suppressor, even though it does reduce the range, but usually depending on the circumstances, sometimes I'll switch between a heavy barrel and suppressor, but that's just my personal preference. And of course, other accessories such as scopes and tactical lights, again, it's all about you. Next up is the secondary weapon. Of course, here you have many different options to choose from. If you're sticking with the pistol, then you definitely want to upgrade to the P226. However, if you're going to be going for a close quarter combat or playing something like Hotwire, and then my recommendation here would be the tracking dart, because it would help out with locking with rocket launchers. And the other one, this is a common weapon that people tend to use, but not too often due to the fact that it has a pretty bad range, but at the same time it does a lot of damage, really good accuracy and control, and that is pretty much the taser, where you're able to take down opponents, and of course you can interrogate them to get some information on where the other team's whereabouts are. Now let's go ahead and talk about the gadgets. Now as I stated, the operator is the team's medic. When you first start off the class, you already have the first aid kit, so this one is always recommended, so you do not need to change this. However, for gadget 2, the first thing that you definitely want to buy is the defibrillator. Now this one costs a few extra bucks, but it's going to be well worth it because this will allow you to revive your teammates. Now, what I like about Battlefield HardLine is that when you are the medic, is that you don't always have to drop down a first aid kit, though it's recommended just in case if you do leave a situation and your teammates are going to need a health pack on standby, is that if you need ammo or even just a medic in general, you could actually walk up to the person and hold the command prompt, and you're automatically going to get your first aid treatment or ammo depending on what class you need help with, which is good. Now for grenades, here it's your personal preference, whatever you like. Usually carry, people carry the default frag grenade. That's what I tend to use all the time. I don't really change it up anything from there. Sometimes for close quarter combats, I'll sometimes switch it up between the incendiary and sometimes the flashbang. Again, depending on your situation, choose what fits best for you. And melee, again, this is just personal preference, whatever you like. Choose whatever fits your needs. Now let's go ahead and talk about the thieves side of things. So obviously for the criminals, they have a different set of weapons. This is your start-off weapon, which is the RO933, and so here you definitely want to upgrade to a new weapon right off the bat as soon as you earn enough cash, and you have about 3 different options here. The number one recommendation here is the AKS-74U. As you can see here, it has a major improved accuracy, a much more improved damage, and of course better control. However, at the side of all these increases, you do have a decrease within range, but if you're more of a mid-range to close quarter combat type of user, then this is definitely going to fit your personal preference. And the other one is the M416, which this one has a slight increase in damage, accuracy, range, but at the cost of control. Again, another good weapon, and you could always fill it with attachments to help fix those. So again, attachments using a grip, and again, if you like a suppressor, use the suppressor. If you like heavy barrels, use that. Next up is the secondary weapon. Here it's there's not really a major increase here, to be honest, because the CZ75, it basically reduces the control, but you have a slight increase in accuracy. So for this one, I recommend sticking with the default pistol. However, if you want to switch it up a bit, again, you also have the taser and tracking dart depending on your situation. And again, this is also the team's medic, so you're going to get the first aid kit, which is definitely recommended to keep. And the second one you don't have the defibrillator, but you do have this revive syringe, which works just the same way. So obviously these are definitely two that you got to have at all times, because you're the team's medic, and as long as you're doing your job, you're going to score a lot of extra points for that. And of course, grenades, all about personal preference, and same thing with baseball bat. But anyways, I hope this video was extremely helpful for you guys. I will be doing a class setup for the other ones, and as always, if you have any questions, leave that in the comment section down below. And